so risked pouring some rice down at the tree roots by the road every distance there was a pile, couldn't stop it. At dawn on the 21st, arriving at the assembly point, waiting until 10 o'clock, the convoy of Dak Lak Provincial Military Command arrived. We got on the trucks and immediately marched down towards Jia Nihaya. The convoy followed Buon Mi Thua town at midnight, arriving at Buon Don past 3 in the morning. We stopped to rest by the iron bridge outside the village. Back then only heard much about Buon Don associated with FULRO activities. Not knowing a mysterious Buon Don with the unique culture of the Leo Monade ethnic groups of the Central Highlands. At 2 in the afternoon, we arrived at Post B by the Sripak River, completing the march by motorized vehicles. Seeing Brother Ain coming out to welcome, I sighed in relief. Troops dragged each other to the billeting area. I said to Brother Ain, I'm too tired, then threw myself onto the hammock, hung hurriedly. A while later, I sank deep into a sleep like never before. Until the liaison boy woke me up, I got up to eat dinner. The Central Highlands forest in the dry season was not quiet at all. The sound of cicadas buzzing left in me a sad, monotonous melody, until now still unforgettable. All day, 22nd and 23rd of December, we urgently did preparation work, supplementing equipment, weapons, logistics. Brothers ate military tet with relatively decent standards. Battalion 1 spread troops along a dry stream, countless yellow butterflies. The bustling atmosphere before going to battle was like a festival. Troops were thoroughly informed that they would cross the border into Cambodia. Maximum time was 30 days, therefore weapons, equipment, food had to be carried relatively much. For my company, the lightest person also had to carry over 35 kilograms. To set an example, on top of my backpack, I stuffed 382 mortar shells, adding another 10 kilograms, a brand new folding stock, a K-60 rounds of ammo, and 3 M26 grenades, a dagger, water canteen, first aid kit, water purification tablets, personal bandage, and a dead soldier's clothing set. Especially from officers to soldiers were reminded again and again to strictly comply with the 9 regulations on friendly soil. Those regulations had been learned and thoroughly grasped, before now printed and distributed to every soldier along with some documents guiding creating leaflets. At 1400 hours on December 24th, Regiment 250 marched. We cut through the forest to the border. What an indescribable emotion of the moment, crossing the border into battle. Honestly, at that time we didn't clearly visualize how we would fight. How was the combat object? Because superiors disseminated about the enemy situation, whether correct or not, we only knew that. Just blindly didn't understand how. Such as having to pay attention to make contact with the wing of Corps 3 attacking up from Kampong Cham, such as having to prepare white cloth to stretch on treetops as a mark for aircraft. Such as paying attention to detect Road 141 from Chobar running to Konik. Only one thing on the military map, the attack prong of Regiment 250 we were heading to, would penetrate the immense plateau forests of Mondulkiri province, where the population was sparse. Central Highlands forest in the leaf-falling season, crepe myrtle trees competing to shed leaves. Carpets of low bamboo grass leaves, starting to turn yellow, stretching, seemingly endless. In me at this time, the melody of the song Red Leaves by musician Hong Hyap during the anti-American time kept echoing in my ears. Meeting you on the windy high Truong Sun forest, rushing red leaves. We marched silently. Sripak River section flowing close to the border in dry season. The water flow was quite gentle. Sapper Battalion 407 of the military region had crossed first and deployed outposts to protect the crossing. 8 rubber boats of engineers hurriedly took us across the river. The Cambodian earthen bank was vertical, dense bamboo stakes planted. We pulled each other up quickly, then bent down, walking diligently. The primeval forest had vegetation carpets 1/2 meter thick. The sun, even at noon, could not penetrate the thick forest canopy. The first night, the entire regiment slept right along the marching route. Around tree stumps, termite mounds, we let the brothers deploy cooking. Officers conferred, reported, checked, reminded, learned from experience. Troops were exhausted, shoulders started to turn red and swollen after days of carrying heavy loads. At 2 in the morning on December 25th, the regiment continued marching and only then officially crossed the Dak Dam border stream. 6 consecutive days of marching. Regiment 250 continued through the forest towards the Konik town area. Gunfire was heard far away, sometimes left, sometimes right. There were signs that Pol Pot had detected the regiment's advance direction and organized to follow. On the right of the advance formation of Regiment 250, Regiment 142, also of Dak Lak Provincial Military Command, was raided by Pol Pot. Tension and suspense were gradually pushed up. We were always informed by superiors about the war situation of the entire military region, 5 Front. Fierce battles were taking place on the main direction, the opening direction. That was the extended Route 19 area. Regiments of infantry divisions 309, 307 attacked straight into Lumphat Bang Lung occupied Kon Hong intersection. The strong assault prong was quickly developing towards Stung Treng on the Mekong River. At 3 in the morning on December 30th, while I was directly going up to sleep with Platoon 1 because the situation was extremely tense, Pol Pot could raid at any time the battalion liaison found me to convey the order. I had to go urgently with the Battalion 1 cadre group as an advance party, handing over the company to Brother Han to command. Dragging the liaison boy along, we hurriedly left right in the night, cutting through the forest diligently. Until the next evening, when reaching an old forest by a dry stream with many big trees and termite mounds, we stopped. By 8 in the evening, the formation of the regiment headquarters and directly subordinate companies also arrived. Battalion 3 alone had separated to reinforce Regiment 812, Division 309. At this time, I learned that Regiment 250 had separated from the Provincial Military Command marching formation. The target now was to independently advance diagonally towards the Green Mountain Range. While the initial target, Ko Neek Town, had also been mastered by Regiment 812 of Division 309. Speaking again about force usage, Regiment 250 crossed the border with only 2 Battalions 1 and 3, while Battalion 2 still held the Buprang Post 8 area waiting for orders. Until more than a month later, Battalion 2 attacked from Post 8. Battalion 2 developed sweeping the enemy along Road 141, then joined forces with the regiment at Chupa Base. At dawn on December 31st, everyone just woke up, mostly hadn't gathered hammocks yet, when Pol Pot suddenly raided. This was the first raid the regiment headquarters and Battalion 1 suffered on the Cambodian battlefield. A series of B-40, B-41, M79 firepower rounds from the left flank in the marching direction fell, covering the entire stationing formation of Battalion 1 and the regiment. Before that, Pol Pot had secretly approached the infantry companies of Battalion 1 and opened fire. Inside, all of us revolved around tree stumps, termite mounds, helpless to endure. The US M79 grenade launcher shells exploded sharply, leaves and dust rose blindly. In the old forest, the explosions of various shells just hummed. For many people, this was the first time panic was unavoidable. Heart-beating, thumping eyes, looking around, frantically hiding, anywhere felt cold back, exposed ribs. Some guys even wet their pants. Fear is first of all a natural reflex, especially for those who have not experienced combat. A while later, our return fire also exploded rapidly. A while later, on the direction of Company 2, Company 3 of Battalion 1, our return fire was rapid. Company commander of Company 2, Nguyen Then Phong, led a platoon firing and maneuvering to counterattack the enemy. Brothers shot down 4 black-shirted names on the spot, shot 1 name seriously wounded. When gunfire stopped, the regiment commander ordered to immediately carry the Pol Pot soldier back for exploitation. A moment later, Company 2 brothers carried the Pol Pot soldier back, lying on the hammock wearing old black clothes covered in dirt and sand, still wearing a brass whistle around his neck. The Pol Pot guy was terribly big, the AK bullet embedded in the middle of his forehead. He was breathing his last. Regiment Commander Nguyen Hua shouted angrily, "Damn it, he's about to die, carrying him back for what waste of effort." Company 2 brothers also captured some guns, especially a B-41, along with the backpack of Company 2 soldier Laba Bat, who sacrificed and his body couldn't be retrieved in the Pol Pot raid on the Battalion 2 formation, infiltrating into Cambodian land when the unit was still at post 8 before. Turns out it was this group, proving they had continuously tracked the activities of Regiment 250 until now. The Pol Pot raid caused us a lot of damage. A total of 7 sacrificed and 6 seriously wounded, mainly in Battalion 1. I directly witnessed Brother Nguyen, the signal company political officer from Thai Yibin, naturally ducking his head after an explosion. Nguyen was hit by an M79 fragment, popping his right eyeball out when Nguyen was hiding near me by the dry stream. Battalion 1 hurriedly handed over wounded and dead soldiers to the regiment. Then immediately we separated formation independently, heading west, cutting through the forest, continuing to march. Throughout the night of December 31st, we cut through the forest diligently. Marching all night in the dense forest was extremely arduous. There were times it was too dark, pitch black. We had to let brothers spread leaflets on the ground pinned to the back of backpacks as marks to avoid getting lost. Carrying heavy loads through dense forest. Sky and ground pitch black deep holes, tree roots, termite mounds, earthen banks. Ignoring all troops stuck close to each other to walk. Breath-panting, sweat-soaking brothers fell down repeatedly, pitifully. By dawn, gunfire erupted rapidly behind. Pol Pot raided again, Company 1 going behind at casualties again. Until the afternoon of January 1st, 1979, after 9 days of threading through the forest, since crossing the border we discovered signs of people seeing a few small abandoned slash-and-burn fields scattered by the stream. As I said above, this land was extremely sparsely populated. Mondulkiri is perhaps the poorest province of Cambodia, sharing a border with Vietnam, so this province became the revolutionary cradle of the Khmer Rouge. Naturally, the people seemed very loyal to Pol Pot. Because in nearly 4 years of gaining power, the Pol Pot government successfully implemented some preferential investment policies. They implemented gathering people, consolidating small villages into large villages, focusing on road construction, building dams and reservoirs, building irrigation canals, reorganizing life towards a collective community, highly centralized customs and habits. They considered anything contrary to Pol Pot's line prohibited or adjusted, abolished. At noon on January 3rd, Battalion 1 temporarily stopped to rest by a forest edge. From this standing point, looking at the map, saw only signs of villages. The nearest residential point was also within 4 to 5 kilometers. A while later, the formation of directly subordinate units and headquarters also arrived. For more than a day, Pol Pot hadn't been seen raiding units going behind. The most miserable at this time were perhaps the Brothers of Transport Company 22. As the regiment formation advanced deeper, the connection between front and rear hadn't been established. The supply of food, weapons, transporting wounded and dead soldiers all piled on the brothers' shoulders, especially dead soldiers. In many cases, brothers had to thread through the forest, carrying them for nearly 10 days. The stench was unbearable at rest stops, had to dig temporary holes to bury, then dig up when moving again. Changing hammock covers several times, but still had to carry along. After Phase 1 of the Northeast Cambodia Campaign, Company 22 was awarded the 3rd-class Victory Medal. Also on that unforgettable afternoon of January 3rd, I was admitted to the Communist Party of Vietnam. A simple admission ceremony with a small red flag with hammer and sickle hung on 2 forest tree branches, a pot of than hong tea, brewed with turbid water, giving a color of water indescribably dim. The party organization of Battalion 1 at this time had a total of 14 official members and 2 reserve members, living in 3 combined cells. Company 3 Company 4 belonged to combined cell number 3. Seeing that nowadays the development of admitting new party members of our party has many problems. People join the party mostly with opportunistic motives. Party organizations build annual targets to strive for. Sources are few, so achieving quantity means poor quality. On the afternoon of January 3rd, Battalion 1 continued marching. We went in the direction of a target on the map named Busan. Threading through forest again, sparse forest, then dense forest. Night fell, pitch black. Orders were to maintain absolute secrecy. Yet I still remember forever a situation where Brother Viet Combat Operations accidentally fired an M79 gun. This guy carrying the gun somehow got entangled. Suddenly, boom. The round launched backwards, diagonally hitting a tree branch, exploding, splattering as an unconditioned reflex. From the guy bending over holding a tree to the guy puffing his chest, walking, all fell down immediately, thinking Pol Pot raided. Even the 82 mortar base plate weighing 15 kilograms. High up small carrying on his shoulder, threw it right onto Hong In's shin. "Oh my God." Mr. H gritted his teeth, writhing, not daring to groan aloud, just hissed silently. "Damn you, you killed me." Later, Mr. H had to use a cane. He had absolutely no minimum information about the Busan point. It seemed all villages in this area were hidden in the forest. Dry season, especially the dipterocarp forests, everywhere was a road. Forestry roads, Trails of woodsmen, ox cart roads, very difficult to shape road 141 running through Busan to Ko Neek. Moreover, almost all small scattered villages and even Ko Neek town had been planned by the Pol Pot government gathered into new concentrated points, newly built. Residential point indicators on the map had almost completely changed compared to reality. We discovered far away, hidden behind low forest trees, looming some stilt houses, but when sending scouts to observe closely, there were still some small villages abandoned long ago. Here and there still saw burnt tree trunks and grass clumps, but absolutely no sign of a civilian. All that day Battalion 1 cautiously wound around, developing no more than 5 kilometers, then turned back out. Darkness fell very quickly. We were ordered to secretly rest on the spot. Troops silently chewed roasted rice, then groped for tree roots, field banks, bushes to find a place to lie down. Last night with Brother Eng and the liaison boy conveniently touched a small half-burnt tree trunk. Smelling fragrant of charcoal, so rested heads on it to sleep. Morning seeing the three of us faces, hair bodies covered in charcoal soot, sticky wet due to night dew, no water, just used shirt flaps to wipe. Some soldiers seen even teased the commanders, look like sappers camouflaged for infiltration. Brother Eng grumbled, "Let you laugh, you are no different from me." At dawn on January 5th, after consulting with company commanders, Brother Tai hesitated for a while, then issued marching orders, still using scouts going ahead, absolutely avoiding large clearings and old villages. Because reaching this area, the possibility of encounter battles could happen at any time. I called the 3 platoon leaders up to remind brothers to always be in the highest combat readiness posture. Until past noon, reconnaissance brothers reported back, urgently discovering enemy, one black-shirted name sitting in a field guard hut by a wide stream bank back to our troops, determined as Pol Pot because having a K-63 rifle leaning against the shoulder. Brother Ho, a political officer, still asked aimlessly, civilian or enemy brother. Tai suddenly got angry, asking up to there. Now still civilian and enemy. While confusedly talking to each other, received news. The black-shirted Pol Pot splashed once, jumped into the stream, disappeared. Brother Tai immediately ordered spreading formation, bringing the battalion up 10 minutes later. At this time, the entire battalion had 2 companies in the battalion. Headquarters almost completely entered the sparse forest, mainly all diptero-carp oil trees and many big and small termite mounds on the left. In the advanced direction, there was a very large stream, both banks. Dense with thorny bamboo, when heard the sound of 82 mortar firing. 2 82 mortars of Pol Pot about more than 1,000 meters away poured bullets straight into the formation of Battalion 1. We held heads, exposed backs, huddled around tree stumps, termite mounds to endure. The sound of fins of the shells constantly howling overhead. Deafening sharp explosions, shockwaves flapping metal fragments, hissing, whizzing smoke dust, leaves flying blindly. Truly nothing is more terrible and thrilling than lying exposed on the ground, waiting for a tragic result to come to oneself. That day I truly felt all the terrible power of 82 mortar shells pouring down on my head and exploding all around. Amidst the confusion of explosions, I called Tien, platoon leader of Platoon 2, to choose a position to mount the mortar quickly, to ask for counter-fire order. Mounting the mortar and calculating firing elements done, but Brother Tai decided not to let fire. At this time, explosions stopped. Companies reported quickly to the battalion command. Luckily, only casualties in Company 3. Brother Tai ordered Company 1 to continue developing. Brothers reported back, discovering a very large village. When approaching to clear observation range, I saw 2 rows of stilt houses far away, hidden behind the sparse forest trees. There were 2 figures moving very fast between the houses. Brother Tai also saw, but then he waved his hand, ordering, "Withdraw." I was wide-eyed, immediately asked back, "Why withdraw? Attack." Straightened brother. Brother Tai repeated, decisive voice, "Withdraw, withdraw." Immediately later, when having a chance, Brother Tai told me that at that time, we didn't grasp the enemy situation, how many or few. Just rushing in if they defended firmly, then only holding bloody heads uselessly. Just be sure first, no need to hurry. The battle ended quickly. After more than 30 minutes of firing, we also didn't know which unit this destroyed Pol Pot force belonged to, but because this area belonged to the operating zone of Division 920 of Pol Pot, so just implicitly recognized with each other, it was of 920. Counting on house floors, ditch banks, tree roots, there were a total of 21 bodies. Some shirtless, the rest wearing black clothes, Khmer scarves, and Mayo caps. We captured 13 guns of various kinds, 2 RPD light machine guns, 2 M79 B40 B40 T41, and a KK-63 guns. We went into the village to check, seeing the Pol Pot government had planned and built this village quite completely. Rows of stilt houses, same style, regular thatched roofs, sawn timber walls, roads paved with gravel quite wide. In the middle of the village was a large ground. On the wooden flagpole still fluttered the 3-tower flag of the Khmer Rouge government. Inside, the civilian stilt houses almost completely empty, no property. Heard that one of the construction criteria of the Pol Pot communist regime was radical, eliminating individual ownership. People had to live collectively, eat collectively, work collectively, a voluntarist social regime to the point of grotesque. Our troops were ordered to grasp very thoroughly, strictly supervise the implementation of 9 regulations on friendly soil, so almost no one dared to touch people's property. My liaison boy picked up somewhere a few pencils with brand new erasers from China and 2 notebooks. Brother ain't seeing scolded in a battle, then forced take where must secretly put back exactly old place. Battalion 1 left Company 1 stationed in the village, simultaneously performing the duty of burying dead bodies. The rest had to withdraw outside, arranging temporary outposts in the forest to the east, observing the village. Food and provisions of marching troops were exhausted. For 2 days we had to use the reserve dried rice ration. Ammunition was also consumed a lot, needing replenishment. Especially wounded and dead cases needed to be transferred urgently to the rear, making the battalion commander and us very impatient. At this time, the regiment command post was still about 15 kilometers away from us to the southeast. Battalion 3 had marched to reinforce Regiment 812 Division 309, attacking and occupying Ko Neek town and continuing to attack the logistics area of Division 920 Pol Pot in the southwest of Green Mountain. I heard captured some weapons, equipment, vehicles, destroyed some enemies, but basically the force of Division 920 Pol Pot had disintegrated or timely dispersed and organized to move to the provinces in the southwest region. The general situation at this time throughout northeast Cambodia, units of Military Region 5 had basically liberated, mastering completely 3 provinces, Ratanakiri, Mondulkiri, and Stung Treng, completely defeating 2 main divisions of Pol Pot here, which were Divisions 920 and 801. Our main worry in this secondary attack direction currently was dealing with guerrilla forces, local troops of Region 105 Pol Pot. This was a very crafty force, familiar with terrain and objects, extremely flexible, appearing and disappearing, mainly using raid and ambush tactics. Right in the night of January 6, Company 3 was raided again, 1 more soldier sacrificed and 2 wounded. That night the atmosphere of all units was extremely tense. The aftermath of the battle on the morning of January 5th and the worry of Pol Pot groups clinging around somewhere outside made everyone unable to sleep. On the morning of January 8th, the battalion used the force of 2 companies 1 and 2 to make a short sweep, developing more than 2 kilometers on the west bank of the stream, but detected no enemy as well as signs of inhabitants. So until that day, where were all the thousands of people in this area hiding, we still hadn't discovered until the people of this Busan area returned by themselves on January 14th. Also at dawn on January 8th, Brother Tai informed us that Transport Company 22 was on the way, cutting through the forest up to Battalion 1. This force had marched from the afternoon of January 5th. Brother Tai ordered a platoon of Company 3, commanded directly by Deputy Company Commander Giaio, to return to make contact and lead Company 22 up. By 7 o'clock, gunfire suddenly erupted. Hearing clearly the sound of B-40 M79 explosions at the battalion command post, we turned pale, knowing we were ambushed. By 10 o'clock, gunfire exploded harshly again for nearly 10 minutes. By 11 o'clock, brothers of Company 22 and Company 3 arrived. Brothers carried 3 blood-soaked hammocks. The wounded person lying in one of the 3 blood-soaked hammocks. That was Brother Nguyen Van Quy, political officer of Company 22 from Bac Yang, my fellow countryman. The remaining 2 hammocks were the bodies of 2 deputy platoon leaders of Company 3. These 2 comrades were from Duc Thua Tin, enlisted on the same day, May 18th, 76, both hit by a carbine sniper bullet through 2 heads, being close friends, just because rushing out to save the friend when the friend was wounded in the leg, leading to this. I was stunned when I didn't recognize Brother Quy. He lay on the hammock, face swollen because of the neck wound. Due to the medic hurriedly bandaging, handling, stopping bleeding, the wound was bandaged, like a checkered pattern, clothes, hair dust and leaves stuck messy, soaked in blood. The medic urgently operated, especially the wound on the neck. A while later, Brother Kui gradually regained consciousness, vaguely recognizing people around. I wiped his face and asked softly, "Brother Kui, do you recognize me?" His face, at that time, had no expression. A while later, lips moved slightly, his voice light as a labored breath. Hung, right. Oh my, until near death, your personality is still the same, still carefree, humorous. The transport company returned, bringing nearly a dozen wounded and dead cases, cutting through the forest that night. Due to lying on a hard stretcher made of a door panel, I let my soldiers take it to carry Brother Kui. Brothers stumbled and fell 3 times, throwing him to the ground. At dawn on January 9th, putting him on the operating table, he sacrificed. Until the evening of January 11th, when meeting Dr. Ko, telling back, I cried. That night I wrote a poem about him. Battalion 1 from January 9th to January 12th continuously sent forces to sweep clean the area, but did not meet enemy bases. On the contrary, we were continuously clung to by Pol Pot guerrillas. A slip meant being raided immediately. The entire battalion fell into running out of food again. I remember forever the afternoon of January 10th, when the whole company had only exactly 2 bags of my dried rice left at the bottom of the backpack. More than 50 people eating a pot of porridge cooked with 2 bags of dried rice, cooked mixed with amaranth shoot. A while after eating, all those people's stomachs rumbled, gurgling, then competing to lift pants, hiding in bushes until releasing all that green fluid in the intestines, then stopped. Waiting until the afternoon of the 11th, the battalion was resupplied with food. Must admit, this period we were hungry and miserable soldiers going to fight, but food carried still had to be mixed up to 50% with ground corn. Looking at the red corn rice ball, big as a beggar's head, yet breaking it, dipping with 5-spice soup powder, eating sweetly, gone in a flash. Forest land of northeast Cambodia, looking anywhere, seeing rang leaves, just break, eating rice balls. Just need to strip a handful of leaves, crush, put into canteen cup, pour water, start fire, boil up, get a bowl of sour soup, truly wonderful. Now sitting looking at a table full of delicacies, but why eating is not as tasty as back then. People in Busakan had slowly returned, the regiment headquarters also arrived. Battalion 1 finished handing over this area. We immediately followed the forestry road axis, marching east of Green Mountain Range, then stopped at a small village, but seemingly quite spacious, with dozens of high stilt houses on the east bank of a large stream. We named it Pol Pot Village because no people were seen returning. More than 20 days sleeping in the open. Until that day, the battalion headquarters and Company 4 could sleep under those stilt houses again, dare not sleep above for fear of Pol Pot raid. Other companies were arranged in sparse forest patches around the village. More than 10 days we were here, we also had to suffer 3 or 4 guerrilla Pol Pot raids with firepower into the formation. They from sparse forest patches on the west bank of the stream fired B-40, B-41, then even 60 mortar, then immediately disappeared. In this village, people had left, leaving dogs, chickens, up to dozens. At first, seeing people, they chirped around asking for food, also very fun, but after a few days kept decreasing. I became suspicious, then silently monitored. One evening around 2 in the morning, observing the bunker placing the 82 mortar of platoon 2 saw firelight. I crept down, discovering a kettle boiling. Dung bomb sitting by the door, hey. We boil water to drink. But I smell chicken. Dung lowered his face, saying nothing. I pressed on immediately. Cooked, yet let me have a piece. Hooray, Company Commander. Long live Company Commander. That's right, Dung cheered up. Oh my, never have I eaten such a delicious piece of chicken. Perhaps eating stolen food, everything is delicious. Fighting finished, also remind, must know how to wipe mouth, okay? Don't let those envoys going along discover. Then discipline the whole lot. The front situation changed rapidly. After January 7th, liberating Phnom Penh, we transferred ideology from initial direction of attacking over then withdrawing to continue attacking, helping you liberate the entire country of Cambodia from the hands of the genocidal clique Pol Pot, Ieng Sari, helping your uprising force establish a new government. These days in northeast Cambodia, units of Military Region 5 are continuing the work of pacification, cleaning the area, helping you form and launch local government district commune. Some units of Infantry Division 2 have completed the task of reinforcing Corps 4, liberating the capital Phnom Penh, now maneuvering back to the military region and gradually shifting to replace units of Division 309, so this division can turn wing to transfer to the southwest front direction. Division 315 of Military Region 5, newly established, is joining Division 307, attacking to liberate the remaining northwesternmost province of Cambodia, which is Phra Vihear Province troops, frontline laborers, volunteer youth of provinces of Military Region 5.